Laugh Cry Die is not sponsored by white supremacy.
Wink, wink.
No, no, Naomi, we're not Talk with Link. We're serious. Dear God, do you want to get us canceled? We haven't even launched yet. You know, people are into cock and ball torture, so I
It's
bet
an element of danger. She might bite my cock off. Normally, when like the paramedics get here, once I start to be coherent, I'll be like, oh yeah, everything's fine. Like, hey, and just pasting normal on, and I wait until they leave. And like, thanks very much, great. And then I sit on the sofa and feel like shit. Will often be in tears, and I'm just so exhausted that my eyes are burning in my head, and I beat myself up for a while. And so on this one, all of that went out the window. I just sat here, like when they were here, and they were being lovely and they were being nice, and I couldn't even interact like normal and be polite or nice.
I'm just so drained.
I'm just I've got nothing left to, I don't know, appease or make things easier for them. I don't care if they walk out thinking I'm a miserable bitch. I'm done.
You need to get sponsored by a bouncy house maker company and live the rest of your existence in a bouncy castle.
I'd probably get more visitors because everyone would want to come and play at Nay's house.
Yeah.
Make things so much more fun. See, the closest I've come to that is one Christmas, my mum sent me a gift in the post, and it was a full bubble wrap suit. And she wrote on the front, spaz protection suit. And I love that. On that, I woke up Christmas morning and opened that and thought, this is brilliant. Got out of bed, thought I'll put it on and I'll take a picture and I'll send it to mum. So I put it on, stood up, and then went, I was sleeping naked and this suit is see-through. It's probably not a good picture to put on Facebook. Caught that one just in time. That's a whole nother level of kink.
There's someone who's going to pay money for that thing.
Yeah. It's like, if the sex is bad, at least you can pop bubbles. Everyone's a winner. Yeah, I said, could you do me a favor and call me a taxi? And she said, we don't have a public phone. So I said, no, that's cool. Could you call one on my behalf? And she said, I'm not going to give you my phone. I said, no, could you use the phone here to call one? And she said, we're not allowed to make personal calls. And at this point, I had my arm in a sling from where I dislocated my shoulder. I had running gear on. It was nighttime, and I was visibly crying. And so I said, look, I've just got out of hospital. I've got to walk for an hour, and I just need a taxi. And she said, why don't you use your phone? And I just threw my arms up, like I'm in training gear, and I went, I don't have a phone. And she just stood there. And I was like, okay. So I just walked out and I walked home. And I thought that contrast between having the general public be amazing and then a member of the general public be an absolute fucking idiot. Like, I don't expect this special care, but part of me does. Over the years, the more seizures, the more head knocks, the more concussions, it's like my brain is repeatedly getting punched.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of not a surprise that they get worse. And
yeah. Because that's the cycle. Because it like it's kind of the same with the upwind. You know, your nervous system learns through repetition and through consistency. And if your nervous system is now at a point, I mean, how long have you been seizing?
Oh, about 17 years.
17 years.
17 years, yeah.
17 years. And your body has been going, oh, this is what normal is.
Yes.
This is how I should act. So it just gets better and better at having seizures or basically being a hot rod for awesomeness.
That's how I do it. That's how I roll. That's why I shake, rattle, and roll. When you were saying about how your heart rate gets up, my Fitbit records my heart rate, and it's quite cool looking sort of after I've had a seizure, looking at what it's jumped up to. And I think the highest I've seen it so far is 220.
There you go.
And it's,
That's like,
yeah, and it goes from like normal, just ticking along, I don't know, at 60 BPM, and then it spikes like pretty much instantly straight up to, 200 is fairly sort of average for what it jumps up to. And then when the seizure stops, and it plummets right back down again. So I can see either when the seizure stopped or when I've been given drugs. So yeah, it's quite sort of intense to see.
it's a really fascinating to me that your body can just go from resting to that in a wonder.
Yeah.
Like, what must be going on like a physiological level, like with your
Yeah.
nerves
Well,
and
it's
shit?
like every single muscle in your body is all of a sudden having a workout.
That's like that's your heart exploding.
Pretty much.
That's like
Yeah.
five-ish, no, five, like four-ish times a second, maybe.
Maths.
It's
And so I went in the evening for a jog on the beach. And I hate cardio. And my body and brain agreed that it was a bad idea. And so all I know is that I was running on the beach, and then I woke up in hospital.
you fucking
And
love it. What if the tide had come in, you dingus?
yeah, I have been found near the waterline a couple of times.
You're like a piece of driftwood that can drown.
An active piece of driftwood.
An active piece of
But I mean, I'm not supposed to do things like go swimming on my own.
yeah,
And
because you
you know,
could die.
for most people who have seizures, I think I'd be safe in saying that like a 5-minute seizure is, I don't know, sort of standard.
No,
And
no, no,
it's
no, no, no.
no. And I mean, for people that
Five
have
minutes is when we
seizures,
call the ambulance, right?
yeah,
So
okay.
as a
But
first
I sort
aider, that's
of
like 5 minutes is like that's a really fucking long seizure. This person needs medical attention.
okay. So a 5-minute seizure is bad.
Yeah.
So mine, let's say roughly half an hour.
No, bad. Stop it.
That's me. That's how I do it. That's how I
You
roll. That's why I
love
shake,
it.
rattle, and roll. Every now and again, they'll send me to a psychologist to see if they can psych the seizures out of me. And every time I've gone in fully like, okay, let's try this. Let's see if we can reprogram me to not have seizures. And every time they've sent me, the psychologist has said, you're fine psychologically, because my coping mechanisms are better than most people's because I've had to,
Exactly.
and
This is
so
what I was talking about with the mindfulness stuff. Is like you go and you
yeah,
see the doctors and you're like, no, like if I didn't have my shit together in a box, I would be literally on the floor.
that's it. I've tried everything. So whenever they send me to the psych, I go, okay, let's do all this, and they eventually go, can we discharge you because your brain is fine from a
Your
mental
mind
health.
is fine, but your body is fucked.
Yeah. And it's like when they say that my mental health isn't contributing to the seizures, it's like, they don't know how fucked my mental health is. I'm screwed. Psychologically and emotionally, like at the moment, I know that I'm struggling. And there's a lot of things that are coming to the surface, like my dad who died recently. It's like, yeah, I haven't kind of processed that properly. And so that's coming to the forefront at the moment, which isn't helping. But because of all this practice over the years, I'm not looking away from all of that.
When you know how to surf, you can see when the waves are big or if it's a small wave, and you can look and say, this is gonna be a shitter of a one. I'm
Yes,
about to get dumped off the surfboard and
yeah,
shit, and maybe drown a little bit, splutter,
yeah.
breathe in a little bit of water. I'll end up on the beach eventually.
Yeah. Now, see, to somebody who that's their first surfing experience, their panic is going to be, everyone's going to panic, but they don't know what the fuck's on the other side, and it's scary. Whereas having years and years of practice of surfing, you've got those skills of like, okay, if I kick for the surface, okay, as soon as I get into shore, this is what I've got to do. This is what I've got to be aware of. Then you can mitigate the danger a little, and that there is skills and techniques that you will survive it.
Well, what if we got you a brain that wasn't that of a monster?
Like who?
I don't know who's dead. Prince. What about the Queen's husband? The Queen.
Yeah, let's go for that.
Let's go for that. That'd be very ladylike.
And it would suit me. I think I'd make a good queen.
Can you imagine? I'm going to have a seizure now.
No, one is going to have a seizure.
One is going to seize. Pardon. And then she
Pardon
just,
Your
and then that would
Majesty.
be it, you know, because she would just, if the queen's body tried to have a seizure, the queen's brain would be like, no, that's incorrect.
Yeah, it's not very proper.
Not proper.
It's not what we do in the palace.
It's because it's basically your nervous system just shouting. So
Yes, yeah.
which is improper in a palatial setting
A proper English lady would not shout in public.
or private.